to the Follower Academy webinar with me, David Jones, and Aondo Markets. If you're watching the recorded version of this, it was held live on Tuesday, the 20th of February at 7:30 in the evening. So we do this webinar a couple of times a month. I also do on a Wednesday lunchtime, maybe a more traditional market outlook webinar where we look at the major markets, FX indices, commodities, the levels to watch, that sort of thing. But tonight, what we are focusing on is the idea of following other traders. So with Aondo, you can trade both ways. You can trade for yourself, or you can choose to follow other traders. So there are traders out there, which we'll see in a minute, that make their track record available to be viewed. So you can see what sort of stuff they trade, what their returns are like, what their losses are like, all that sort of stuff. And you can choose to follow them from your own account, where the trades get done automatically at a size in line with your account. But you'll see all of this in the next sort of half an hour, 35 minutes. We're not going to be just sitting on PowerPoint all tonight. Most of the stuff will be done on the Aondo platform. So I'm doing it with a real account with real money in. And I'm just going to use the PowerPoint just to give it a little bit of structure. So first of all, the basic principles. What we want to do is identify profitable traders clearly. You know, if someone can sit there and make 20% a year, year in, year out, that's excellent. You know, and that's exactly the sort of trader that I'd like to follow with my own money and have those trades done automatically. So we'll identify profitable traders. We'll build a portfolio. You can follow up to 5 traders. So we'll set that up this evening as well. Risk management is critical because clearly the past is no guarantee of the future. You know, so if a trader does go off the boil, and you know, with the volatility we've seen in stock markets over the last month, that has hit quite a few previous successful traders' P&L, but there are steps we can take to manage the risk and then monitor positions. I'll show you how, once it's all up and running, we can monitor positions on the platform. So first of all, let's get into this, identifying profitable traders. So we're going to start off logging into WeTrade. So WeTrade is Aondo's sort of web version, and how we can choose the traders. We'll look at the rankings list. So we'll do like a league table of who's been doing what. We'll choose the sort criteria on the ranking list. P&L is an obvious one to use. Then we'll drill down a bit more into that and look at things in a bit more detail. So let's go. So I've logged in the platform. So if you go to Aondo, the aondo.com website, you can log in. You can set up a demo account as well to play around with this and see what you think. So the way it works is, and you could do this as well if you were trading with Aondo if you wanted to, there are traders who make their track record available. So you know, if you choose to be somebody who people can follow, you can make your track record perfectly visible from when you first start trading. So let's get into that. Let's take a look at, what do we want to see? We want to see the rankings list. Let's go to the rankings list first of all. Okay, so here we are. Let me just switch off a couple of these filters. So if I go, so at the moment, I have got potentially 538 traders to follow. You can see it here, top traders, 538. I only want to follow 5, but that's my sort of pool of traders to start with. So let's sort them by P&L. So there we go. There's the P&L. We sorted them by P&L. So the one with the greatest track record, based on my criteria, which is since they started trading, is this one here, Smarty Trader. So Smarty Trader has notched up a return of 197%, which is pretty impressive number. Maximum drawdown, we'll talk a lot about this evening, but that's, okay, they've made 197%. How much profit have they given up along the way? Let's say last year you made 100% profit, but if along the way you were down to 90% at one point, it's a level of volatility that plenty of people, me included, you know, don't really want to be following. You know, so ideally, in the perfect world is someone with a great level of return and not too chunky a drawdown. You know, to try and smooth out the maybe the month-to-month bumps of trading. The next one is Raul Bermudo, up 190%, 34% drawdown. Who else have we got? Let's just jump down to here. Intensive Trader, up 172%, 27% drawdown, and so it goes on. Now, you'll see there are a couple of icons next to them. So the little star asterisk there means they're a popular trader for others to follow. But the really important one for me is this, R. So R means they trade with real money, because what you can do with Aondo, you could make your track record available while you're trading on a demo account. So actually, in this list here of the top 10 of traders, there's only Smarty Trader, who does flukily happen to be number 1. And this one down here, Giuseppe, with the R next to their name. So there are only 2 out of 10 of the top traders who trade with real money. Now, my view is, if I am going to risk my own hard-earned real money following you, then I expect you to be trading with your real money as well. So I've got no interest in following people who are just trading on a demo account. As I'm sure you know, if you've ever traded on a demo account, the psychology is completely different, you know, once you switch to real money. So the first thing I do is I filter the top traders by real money traders, and I can do that by clicking here, clicking on RMT. Let's do that. Right, big change. So now we've gone from 538 traders down to just 179 traders. But I know that all of these people are trading with actual cash, whether that actual cash is, I don't know, £5,000, £50,000, but they are trading with actual real money. So number 1, clearly still Smarty Trader, still at the top. Giuseppe, second, best performer, 146%. The Venture, 90%. Positive, 82%. 76, and so it goes on. Okay, so we can scroll down and see just how these traders are doing. So there's our list of top 10, and we can go a bit deeper down into the list. There we go. When we get to sort of 35 on the list, they've made 18%. If we go over here, we get to 51st on the list, has made 10%, and so it goes on. Let's go back to the start of our list. Okay, here we go. So I'm following Smarty Trader already. So what I'm going to do is, let's take a look at Giuseppe. So what we want to do now is dig a bit deeper than this headline number. You know, so the stuff I want is clearly profitable, is an obvious one. I don't want to follow somebody who's lost money. So it's clearly someone who's profitable. Ideally, not a massive drawdown. I mean, 34% is bigger than actually everybody else in here. So let's examine that in a bit more detail. And over here, this bit is important as well for me. My background is all technical analysis and charts. So for me, I want hopefully a nice, smooth trend. You know, I don't want somebody who loses money for 10 months, then risks it all and makes money in month 11. And gets, you know, high up the leaderboard. I want somebody who can hopefully sit there and crunch out a profit quarter on quarter. So let's have a look at Giuseppe. Let's click on Giuseppe. Here we go. So right, what have we got? So the data we've got here, we have their trading since inception, since they started on the platform. So Giuseppe goes back to May 2016, and you can see it only really started getting into his strides about a year ago, you know, sort of pretty, okay, up a little bit, lost quite a bit. Then since then, we've had pretty good trends. So for me, that trend is encouraging. So over the last year, we have seen steady profits, obviously the odds sell off along the way, but overall, it's doing okay. So the headline figure, the headline chart looks okay. Volatility, 13%, number of trades, 432%, winning trades. Now this is interesting for me, winning trades, because often with this number, you see what I think is a ridiculous number where someone's got 95% of their trades are winners. And that can often, I think, flag up something of a warning. You know, if somebody is right, and again, if you've ever traded yourself, to have 95% of your trades end up being winners is somewhat unrealistic, to put it diplomatically. And I think if people have that level of winning trades, it can suggest that maybe here's a trader who has a problem taking losses and just hangs on and hopes it comes back, which is fine if you're trading stock markets up until a month ago and they just go up all the time. But when things change, you can get absolutely clobbered. So that for me is actually encouraging. You know, this chap is making money, and is making money where most of his trades are losers. 55% of his trades are losers. So that is encouraging. Winning months, 63%. I think that's pretty realistic. So, you know, 6 times out of 10 makes profit in a month. Last activity, and this is an important one as well. Even though Giuseppe has been on the platform since May 2016, has only been trading with real money since June last year. So around about here-ish, okay? So that's an important one, because you don't want somebody who's got this great track record, but 2 years of it have been built up on a demo and 1 month has been real money. So ideally it would be longer back than this, but it's okay. So maximum drawdown 34%. So it's a bit of a chunky drawdown, but it's been a good profits over the period we're looking at here. Let's scroll down a bit more. So this bit here, this again is really important to me. How does it break down month on month? Because it's all well and good being profitable, but again, we don't want to see 10 months of losses and 2 months of massive profits where they basically risked everything and got lucky. So let's take a look at the numbers. You can see that that first period where he started trading was not a good year. 2016 was not a good year. So lost 22% in 2016. Last year was better, clearly flattered, I think, by a couple of chunky months, 28% in Jan, 21% in April, but up 145%. Massive month in January this year. We'll have a look at maybe what they traded in a minute, but up nearly 35% in January. So that has really flattered the number for this year. Down 4% for this month. I don't think that's a surprise. This has been a tough month for plenty of traders because stock markets have reversed so hard. I think plenty have been caught by that. But overall, we can see a bit more detail about how they've made their P&L. In here, this is always interesting as well. Asset allocation. So what do they trade? There's an awful lot of DAX traders on the platform. Ayondo started in Germany, so there are lots of people based in Germany, and they trade the DAX. DAX I think is always an interesting market to trade because of the volatility. You know, it's seldom dull, the DAX, and often moves around a lot more, definitely than the FTSE in the UK, and often more than US markets. But actually, this one, Giuseppe, is trading a bit of everything. So we got 14% of trades on euro, 11.5% of trades on crude, quite a bit in Alibaba, pound US dollar, gold, Facebook, and so it goes on. So this one trades a whole mix of different markets. And scroll down, there's a whole load of other information in there. So we can see open positions. I think this one is a bit of a sort of a trend follower and likes to try and run profits. So open positions in here. So some of the bigger winners at the moment, Amazon.com, up 5,000 nearly on that, and a few others. And then down here we have the various closed trades. We can drill down. Amazon.com, a big winner again, but they're up 9,000 on that. So we can see a whole load of data. But on the face of it, to me, it looks interesting. I wouldn't read too much into this year's figure so far, because that's a very flattering January this person has had. So we'll come back to old Giuseppe in a minute. Let's take a look at somebody else. Let's just go back onto our league table of P&L. Let's take a look at Smarty Trader and see if this looks much different. Okay, let's bring that up. Pretty flat, actually, even though it's been up and it has pushed out to new highs in Jan, clearly taken a bit of a hit in Jan, but let's in February, sorry. But let's scroll down and see some of the data. So here we go, winning trades 90%. So again, that for me, it's always a little bit iffy about that sort of stuff. Winning months 68%, more realistic. Real money trader again since June 2017. So even though the track record goes back 2 years, only been trading real money since about here, and actually since then it's a bit flat. But let's scroll down and see. So 2016 made 103%, 2017 made 47% in quite a sensible manner. You know, clearly a few losing months in there, but more than balanced out by the winning months. And then 2018 so far made 5.5% in Jan, but has given back 6.5% so far this month. So year to date is down 1%. What they trade, this is more typical. So 87% of trades are the German 30, the DAX. So the German stock market index is what this person trades. Okay, so there's a bit more information. So let's just jump back to the next thing we're going to do. So next, we're going to start building a portfolio. So we're going to start following traders. We'll access the portfolio builder. We'll set risk levels per trader. And then we're ready. We're ready to fire it all up and start following these people on a real account. Let's jump back. So I'm going to go back to Giuseppe because I know I'm following Smarty already. So let's go back. Where's he gone? Click on P&L, click on Giuseppe. Okay, so let's say I think, well, actually, I quite fancy having some trading on my account mirroring what Giuseppe's doing. So what I would do, first of all, is just click on follow. Okay, so nothing's going to happen yet. I'm just going to add them into a portfolio. So if you click on follow, it doesn't mean you start following all their trades straight away. Okay, due to a negative performance, your selected trader was downgraded to street trader level. Okay, so I'll say okay. There are various levels they can go through on the Aondo platform. Okay, so I've added in Giuseppe. So this is my portfolio of traders. So I've got Edelmetall, DAX Call 3, Smarty Trader, and Giuseppe. Okay, so they're all real money traders in my account. And what I can do is I can have this idealistic view. There we go. Oh, that's a bit too unrealistic. Let's just do a year. So over the last year, if I could go back in time and follow all these traders over the last 12 months, the blue dotted line is my P&L. So I would have made 256% over the last 12 months. Of course, unfortunately, there's nobody I know who lets you do TARDIS trading to go back in time and have that sort of return. And as usual, past performance is no guarantee of the future, but that's the idealized version of how it would have worked out over the last 12 months for me following these traders. But before we get into this button here, execute on live account, let's look at managing risk. So let's just talk about it, because it's really important this. You can confirm traders' individual risk level. So we're going to do that in a second. You can set a loss protection on your account, like a stop loss on your account effectively. And then with Aondo, you have this thing called negative balance protection. So if you've ever traded products such as CFDs, contracts for difference, spread betting, FX, there's the classic risk warning when you open an account that your losses can exceed your deposits. You know, if the market moves quickly or gaps through your stop loss, you can end up losing more than is in your account. But with Aondo, they have this negative balance protection thing, and that does exactly what it says in the tin. So if you've got £1,000 in your account and the financial world ends tomorrow, you'll only lose £1,000. You're not liable for more than is your account. But we'll do more of this in a second. Right, so I've got 4 traders. So what I'm going to do, let's pick on Giuseppe. Let's go into settings. Click on settings. So I'm going to confirm the risk level. So let me just talk through this. So how it works is, let's say Giuseppe does a trade on the Dow Jones. So does a trade, and let's pretend Giuseppe's account is £100,000. So Giuseppe does a trade on the Dow Jones and does it at a size and does it at a level. Puts the stop loss at a level that meant that if he got stopped out, he would lose 2% of his account. Okay, so he's got a £100,000 account and he's risking losing £2,000 on the trade. Now, if I've got a £2,000 account, it would be ludicrous for that trade to be done at exactly the same size on my account, because I'm risking all my account on that one trade. So how it works is it gets scaled down, obviously. You know, so if Giuseppe trades at a level that means he's got 2% risk on his account, the same trade gets done on your account at 2% risk of whatever your account size is. So if my account size is £2,000, then I'm going to risk 2% risk would be £40, wouldn't it? £40 risk on my account. Let me just check the maths in my head. Yes, that's right. So if they do a trade that means X pounds a point, and their account is 50 times the size of mine, the trade is done on my account are a 50th of the size. So the percentage risk is the same, but clearly the size will be different. But what I can do, I can dial it up or down. So if I'm massively confident in Giuseppe, I can say, well, actually do the trade on my account at 3 times the percentage risk this person's done it at. Or if I'm a little bit cautious, I can knock it down to a quarter. So if Giuseppe does a trade on his account that risks losing 1% of his account value, on my account, it will be done in this example here at 0.25% of my account value. So I can really, you know, mess around and with the risk. Let's say I'm going to stick with 1. If Giuseppe does a trade that means 2% risk of the account, then the 2% risk will be on my account. And if I want to really drill down, I can see what they've traded and set individual risk sizes, but I don't bother with that. I just have a blanket risk level. And you can do this for all of the individual traders on your account. You can set the level of risk you're comfortable with. And I think I've got them all set to 1. There we go. So if they're risking 2%, I'm risking 2% as well on my account. And that's it. So there's my portfolio of traders. There's my idealized view of how it would have worked out. And I'm ready. So I click on execute on live account. There's a couple more safety nets. So clearly, because these people are trading actively, they will have trades that are open. So the warning that's coming up here, open trades detected. So what this means is, it says, well, do you want to mirror their open trades? And I never do. And I think most people don't. Because the problem is, let's say Giuseppe bought Amazon a week ago, and Amazon has risen $10, $15 since then. You're going to get in at today's price. You're obviously not going to get the price from a week ago. So my approach is, I've got no interest in following their open trades. I just want to follow any new trades they do. Click on execute portfolio, and okay, there's a bit of contract expiry date. I don't really care about that, and that's it. We are up and running. So so here's my account. I've got £1,083 in the account. I've got no P&L, so I've got no running profit or loss because I've only just this minute started following these 4 traders. I could follow up to 5. So we'll just wait and see. Maybe someone will do a trade. If someone does a trade in the next 10, 15 minutes or so, we'll see it going through. So we'll check back. But maybe if it's a quiet night, and then most of them are European based, maybe they won't be that active on US markets. We'll see what happens. But there's another level of risk control. So if we go in here, this is the loss protection on the account. Basically, it's a financial stop loss on your account. So even though I've got just under £1,100 in my account, I can say, well, if my account balance falls to, including open positions, let's say £750, close out all the open trades and stop following everybody. Okay, so it's another level of risk control we can have, as long as it's within, I think, is it within 5%? There we go, within 5% of your current balance. So I'll put mine at 750, click on save, and that's it. So there's my extra financial stop loss on my account, and that's it. It's live. There's real money. It's my real money in there, and we're now following these 4 traders. And the way to monitor it, let me just jump back onto PowerPoint. The easiest way to monitor it is via this, using what we've been using already, the sort of the web-based view of things, a high-level view of what's going on. But you can log into TradeHub for a more detailed view. So let's just do that. Let's just jump back onto there. So still no open positions. So this is WeTrade. This is the high-level view. There's an app as well, of course. But what we can also do, if I click on here and go to TradeHub, click on there. Right, and this will open up. So this is a trading platform, maybe a more traditional platform. If you've traded yourself, you know, this is a more traditional trading platform that you'll be used to. Let's just wait for this to load up. Here we go. So that's so you have like a self-directed trading account and a social follower trading account. So let's click on the social follower. So there's my social follower trading account, the one we've been working with all this evening. So at the moment, cash balance 1,083, no P&L, account value 1,083, and you can see here no open positions. You can do the usual stuff in here. You know, you can sort of switch back and trade yourself. Let's have a quick look at what US markets are doing tonight. I think they're just a little bit all over the place. So back to the earlier lows. So you can look at charts and stuff like that on here. And if a trade goes through that you follow, then you'll see it go through on your account here. So there's a whole load of functionality within TradeHub. You know, if you want to, if someone does a trade on the Dow and puts the stop loss 150 points away, but you think actually the stop loss should be 120 points away, you can go in and change the stop loss if you want. But you then need to be aware that's effectively your trade. You know, if they decide to close it out, it won't be closed out automatically. So for me, I don't go in and fiddle with stops and all that sort of stuff on traders I'm following. I just rather follow them, let them get on with it, and see how it works out. You can do the usual stuff, view account history, and including financing costs. Of course, because we're trading on margin, we're using leverage. There's normally a small financing cost overnight. Other stuff like create account statements. If you want to run a statement of your account, you can do that, and add funds. Let's jump back onto it. Here we go. So let me see. So I use this account for all the various webinars that I do with Ayundo, and I've got a couple of other accounts that I use for actually following other traders. But let's jump back and see just some of the history on this account. Let's go back to there. There we go. So So I've run a report here. Oh, hang on, I think from some random people I put in last time I was following, and you can see the size that this stuff gets done is tiny because I've dialed. Oh, here we go. We've just done a trade. I've dialed my risk right down. We'll look at that in a second. So I can run through, you know, previous trades closed, all that sort of stuff. So a trade has actually gone through. So while we're watching all this, somebody I'm following, has done a trade, and that has been replicated on my account. So what has been done is the German 30, so the DAX, margin used £3.98 of margin. The size, there you go, 0.032. So that is about, what's that? That's 3 pence a point. So you can see the tiny size that gets done because I've dialed that risk right down. So 3 pence a point at German 30. I entered at 12,000, or I followed this person in at 12,451.8. The market's currently 12,447, whatever it is. And there's my P&L. So if I want to, I can go in and interfere with this. I'm not going to, but I can change all of that. And there you go. There's the trade going through actually in real time, giving me a running P&L. So that's TradeHub. We might come back to this in a second. Let's just jump back onto this view, onto the WeTrade view. And there you go. So you can see there's the trade. So it's Edelmetall who did the trade. It's gone long. The German 30, the DAX, 3p a point, or €3, not €3 a point. And there's all the details in there. Okay, and if I wanted to, I could close it on here, but I'm following this person. I'm just going to let this person run with it. Okay, we'll jump back onto that and see how that progresses before we finish stuff up. You can log in directly into WeTrade. You saw that, go straight to TradeHub. You get the important figures on your account, all the stuff we need to know, how much money's in there, what's our P&L look like, what's the value of the account, all of that sort of thing. You can change the positions if you want to. It's not something I would recommend because if I'm following someone, I'm following somebody. You can look at the financing costs. They tend to be pretty small because I've got the risk dialed right down. So the financing is not a massive amount. You can run statements if you want to see how all this stuff has performed, and that's really it. Let's jump back on and see how things are going. So there's the WeTrade high level view, and then the actual trade in the account. There you go. Just move back to break even. I'm in profit. Well, hey, I was. Let's click on Edelmetall. I've been following this person for a while. I think in these webinars, it was somebody who was doing. Oh, he's taken quite a hit since July. Maybe bouncing it back, had been doing really well. Let's look at the numbers. It's still not bad. 21% in 2015, 88% in 2016, got clobbered towards the end of November, December, really ruined that person's year, down 4.6%. And actually, it's maybe someone I shouldn't be following at the moment, but anyway, they've done a trade. Up 20% in January, sorry, down 20% in February. So pretty volatile, but have been doing really well. Real Money Trader, one of the longest real money traders on the platform. So Real Money Trader since May 2016, and big drawdown there. You can see really in the last 6 months seems to have really suffered and has got clobbered. So it's not one I would necessarily recommend following at the moment. Let's take a look at the portfolio builder again. Let's take a look at the high level view, the my account view, just to see how it's all going on. Let's see if any more trades have gone through while I've been jabbering away. Oh, he's losing money again, Elon. What are you doing? So I'm losing a bit, down 3p on the trade. And it's really as straightforward as that. When it comes to who to follow and how to do it, it really is that straightforward. And I suppose, in effect, what you're trying to do, rather than if we used a football analogy, rather than trying to be the superstar striker, what you're actually trying to do is be almost like the football manager and pick a winning team of people to trade for you, and just sort of monitor and manage their positions, so and it's really easy to do it, whether you're doing it in an app or you're doing it through the trading platform here. It's really easy to keep an eye on it. I started doing it, it's probably nearly 2 years ago now, and again, I started off with a demo for the first 3 weeks, and made in 3 weeks following people, made something like 15% return, but at a ridiculous level of volatility, you know. So that was a real lesson to dial down the volatility when it comes to following people, because what we're trying to do is hopefully smooth out some of the bumps in the sort of the month-to-month trades. But I think it's a really interesting way of maybe gaining some additional exposure to the market if you feel you don't have the time to do it yourself, or you have extra funds that maybe you want to have a slightly different approach. I think this whole idea of following traders is a really interesting and alternative way of doing it. But that's it. And there are no questions. So as far as I can see. So clearly I've done a fantastic job in explaining this. If you do have any questions afterwards, just drop me an email. The best email address for me, if you can hear those bottles in the background, my office is next door to Pizza Express. It's not me clearing out my booze for the week, and they're doing their recycling. But if you have any questions, drop me an email. My email address is david@tradeafter.com. I did blog quite a bit on this last year, and I need to start doing it again. But if you go to my website, jonesthemarkets.com, there's a bit more information in there. But I'd say, as ever with this stuff, try it out. You know, see how it works for you. You can play around with the demo for a few weeks and then put real money in. I think the minimum is £2,000, I think, but you have that stop loss thing you can put on your account, so you don't necessarily need to have all of that amount at risk. But I'll start wrapping things up there. There will be the recording. The recording, I think, will be sent out probably the next few hours. So you can, any bits you weren't sure of, you can watch it again. But thanks for coming along. We'll do this again, I think, in a couple of weeks' time. But any questions, feel free to drop me an email. But I will wrap things up there and let you all get on with your evenings. Thanks.